If your high school football season just ended, it is time to set up your highlight video so that college coaches actually watch the entirety of the video and, most importantly, pick up the phone and call you or message or DM you back that they're interested in you. And if you don't set up your highlight video correctly, then you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. And joining me today is our head coach here at Next Play, Brian Overton, who has over 15 years of Division I recruiting experience. So Brian, glad to have you here, man. I'm excited to talk about highlight videos because it's the end of the season. Everyone's trying to set them up, and the majority of people set them up wrong. And I can't tell you how many head college football coaches at the D1 and the D2 level I've spoken to, and they're like, we miss out on guys because their highlight videos, the plays that I watched in the beginning weren't good. Or I had one coach, Brian, he was a Division II coach, and he's like, I got a group of 5 guy on my team because his highlights were terrible, and he's a group of 5 level player. If his highlight video was in the right order, then he would have probably went to, a way better program. So obviously the kid's going to transfer up now, but you guys, a lot of people are missing out and not getting offers at all, or getting offers at lower levels because their highlight video is not set up correctly. So Brian, let's talk about highlight videos, and let's just start at the top, man. What's the first most important thing you want to see? You've got 15 years of Division I recruiting experience in a highlight video where you're like, oh, this is great. I know I'm going to get what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think it's good we're talking about this right now, and that specific question, right? Because a lot of people, when you say highlight videos, you got to have it in the right order, this, that, and other. The key to that, Richie, is you got to have it in the right order by position, right? It's position specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every one of them aren't the same. So whoever you're getting, to put together your tape, or you're getting advice from, or whatever the case may be, they need to have at least enough knowledge of what coaches are looking for at the next level that are specific to your position. So you can, every highlight is not of the same value as far as the order, if that makes sense. Like, it can be a highlight, a true highlight, but position specifics, are important, especially in the first 8 plays. And I know it's been a long time since we talked about this. But if you don't get the coaches, if you don't grab them in about the first 7 or 8 plays, maybe even depending on the coach, and I've worked with a ton of them, some of them were like a 4 or 5 play guy. Like, you really had to grab them early.
I still even think that's a lot. I feel like if you don't grab them the first 3 plays.
Yeah. I was always, and I can speak to myself, I was always more of a, I was like kind of in the middle. I was more of a 5, 6 play guy. Myself, because of the reason we're talking about right now. Well, what if the kid I didn't want to run into the situation that the kid ran into earlier. Like that, what if they don't know how to put it together? Like, right. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to miss on a good player because he didn't know how to order it. Right. So I at least wanted to give the benefit of the doubt of 6 or 7 play type guy is what I was, in case he didn't know how to order it correctly. And I ran across play 5 or 6. It was like, oh, wow, that looked totally different than the first 3 or 4. But it's somewhere in there. If you don't grab them, they're not going to keep watching. But it's got to be position specific as far as what coaches are looking for, at that position. Right. And that's critically important. I just want to encourage people, when you're getting, when you're putting it together, try to, if you don't know yourself, try to find somebody that knows the position specifics enough. And when I say position specifics of what college coaches are looking for, not what the high school coach likes and what he thinks is a highlight, unless he has some knowledge of that. But get those in the right order, position specific wise. And then another really important thing that's coming up with a lot of our guys, or even guys that are sending us in evals, because we see, obviously we've done, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of evals at this point. A lot of them that come in is like the two-way player. I play offense, I play defense type guys, right? And I've seen a bunch of them here, towards the end of the season over the last month or so, where they're clearly, to me, from a college football coaching perspective, they're clearly, to me, better at one than they are the other, as far as like where I think they'll play in college. And I think you got to be very smart about, if you're a two-way player. Coaches love two-way players, but I think you got to be very smart about putting your best position first, whatever that is. Like, if you're a wide receiver DB, and you're a good player and you have highlights at both positions, and say it's, you got a 5-minute or so highlight, which is not crazy if you're a two-way guy, because that's a couple minutes, give or take, of each position. If you have that many, you got to make sure, that you put the one first that, you probably translate more to the college level, because what you're trying to do with the highlight tape is get the coach on the hook, guys. You know what I mean? Or can you get an offer right away off of tape? Yeah. If you just blow them away and you're what they're looking for, they come across it. The goal of the highlight tape is to get them interested enough to start having a conversation with you and start recruiting you. So that's why it's critically important, and even especially with the two-way player. So that's really important. That comes up a lot during this time of year. And then the last thing I'll say is, we used to talk about it a lot, and people think it's irrelevant, this, that, and other. Our guys in our program have seen how important it is in real time to have that information slide in the beginning of the tape that has all your information on there. They've had stories of coaches coming across the tape, or the area coach like text the huddle link to the area coach. So he wasn't sitting in front of his computer and all that stuff. They were on the road recruiting, and the area coach pushed it to the position coach. He pulled it up on, his phone or his iPad or something, and watched the tape and liked it, and wanted to reach out to the kid. He didn't have time to go to his X account and do all that stuff. So he just rewinded it, paused it, called the kid, text the kid right from his huddle tape. Like it was a one-stop shop. He had the tape in front of him. He had the information in front of him. So we really pushed that hard as well now, as far as the end of season tape.
Yeah, that's really important. I mean, guys, at the end of the day, the idea, like you said, is we want to get coaches interested, right? Like the majority of coaches like that, all the head coaches I've interviewed say there's 3 things that they got to have in order to offer you. You got to have the grades, you got to have the character, and you got to be able to play, right? And so what you're doing is right off the bat showing them that you can play. And then through the recruiting process, through your social media, you could show them you have the character and the grades, right? But we got to get them right off the bat to know you can play. You know what I mean? And that you're reaching out to the right schools. And so, I love it. We got to have the plays in the right order. 2, we got to have the ability, make it easy for coaches to have the ability to contact you, right? So that includes your X account, your cell phone number, your email address, make it your X handle, right? Make it easy for coaches to contact you however they want to contact you, not specifically how you want to be contacted.
Right.
Some coaches
because they're all different, right? Now we tell our guys this all the time. Hey, coach, I got my guys on, I work with all the time. Coach, I'm not having a lot of luck with this coach on DM, this, that, and other. You know what I mean? Because everybody assumes that all coaches are DM guys. I said, well, how many times have you followed up with him on email? Well, a couple. I said, well, you need to follow up with him a couple more times on email. And then the next time they follow up with him on email, he emails back because he's an email guy. He's not a DM guy. Yeah. Right. And vice versa. Some of them are text guys, they only want to deal with the phone, text message, stuff like that. So that, to your point, is why we cover all those bases. And then the other thing I would say, to your point of the head coaches telling you what's important to them with those other 2 things, grades and character and things like that. That is a direct funnel from the highlight tape. So, our guys on our roster have seen it in real time. The tape goes out through the outreach. They watch the tape. They're interested now because they know you can play. Like you have enough on there that coach thinks that either right now or eventually you can help him win, right? Well, the very next thing they do is they're going to go to your X account. I'm just telling you, they're going to go there. The tape drives them to the X account to see all those other things. If you're doing the X account correctly, and we've done several podcasts on this, marketing yourself and things like that. If you're doing the X account properly as far as posting, right, and you're posting, working out in the off season, you're posting things about your family or your faith or academics and all that stuff, he can then start to check some of those boxes off just by going to your X account. But the tape is what drove him there. All right, I'm interested in him as a player. I think because if you don't think you can help him win, guys, it's he has no reason to go to your X account, to be perfectly honest with you. If he doesn't think you can help him, on the field and help him win. But if he does, that's going to drive him to the social media to try to find out more and kind of do some scrolling. And that was my in real time in those jobs. That was my funnel. Everybody, I never knew what a funnel was till not too long ago. That's the sales lingo. But that was my funnel. If I saw the tape and I liked you, the very next place I was going to your X account to try to learn a little more about you, and what you're posting. And that's exactly what we teach, the importance of both of those. And that's why we work really hard with our guys, especially in the season tape, guys, because that's the most tape you're going to have. And we teach our guys, if you're a young player, right? I know the season's already over with now, but if you're not a senior and you're going into next year, we always have our guys build it as they go, right? It's not at the end of the season, let me gather my tape, because sometimes that can take forever and you get distracted and now you're in basketball season, you don't have time to do it. We have our guys every week add to it, right? And it may be 2 plays this week. It may be 5 plays the next week, but they build it up as the season goes along. The reason they do that is because once the season has ended, then we're already ready, right? It's already put together and you can get it out much faster and start your outreach. So I wanted to touch on that too as well.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And another question a lot of people have is how long should it be? And it's like the length should be how many actual highlights you have.
That's right.
What say you on the length? Everyone's like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, two. Like the
Yeah.
length of how many highlights you have.
That's right. That's right. And the problem is, to your point, like, the common theme is, right, if you turn a highlight tape on, and certain positions are typically, have a chance to have more highlights than other. Quarterback's one position. They touch it every play, right? And if you're in a throwing offense and things like that, and you had a big year, you can have the opportunity to have a more lengthy highlight, right? Same thing at, some of the skill spots, right? But as a general rule, guys, if we're evaluating the tape or we come across the tape and it's 6, 7, 8 minutes long or something like that, even if it is a quarterback, I can already tell you right now, it probably needs to be trimmed down. There's some in there that don't need to be in there, and you really need to trim it down. My rule of thumb now, working with our guys, for the most part, I would say a very, very high percentage of our guys that have their end of season tape done right now, with the exception of maybe one or two, and we got a big, big roster right now. But with the exception of a very few, right, are landing somewhere between, like, 3.5, 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes, right? And that is right in the sweet spot. And obviously we look at all of them, help them order it and do all that stuff. But because of that, like, that's a solid 3.5, 4 minutes of true highlights that are in the right order, position specific, with an information slide in the season tape, right? So like Richie said, there's no cookie cutter, hey, it needs to be this long, it needs to be that long. It's all about how many if you have true highlights on there and the order is in. That determines the length, not just some, random, hey, it needs to be, X, Y, and Z long. That's not how it goes.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say here on the length, and this is a really important tip, so listen closely on this, is cut the length of the plays specifically. Don't have like 7 seconds before the play even starts.
Yeah.
Have like 1 second with whether, the circle or the arrow. And when the play's over, 1 second. Like there should be, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm watching a highlight video and it's like a 10-second play, but a 20-second play when it should be a 10-second play. So cut it, guys. Get rid of the trash before and after the play. And then let's talk about the direction, right? Are you a fan of the circles or the arrows?
I really don't care. The only time it really comes into play, guys, is on the line of scrimmage. So that's a good question. So like D-line and offensive line, I'm more a fan of the arrow because there's so many players bunched in there together. You're not a receiver that's out by yourself. You're not a DB or a linebacker, you know what I'm saying, or a running back where there's not a lot of people close to you. So at the line of scrimmage, I always prefer the arrow because it can put it right on the guy. If you use the circle, it can circle like 3 guys at one time sometimes. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, you can't make the circle smaller. So I prefer the arrow up close to the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and defensive line because it's easier to ID. As far as arrows and circles. If you're a skill player or if you're anything other than that, it really doesn't matter because you can kind of, you're kind of out in space a little bit and it's much easier to identify you. And then the last thing I did want to touch on, that I had down here was, no music, guys. Don't waste your time putting the music on there. The coach is going to mute it anyway. He could care less, what kind of music you put on there. It's not going to change his mind one way or the other. He's going to be aggravated that he's got to mute it, right? He's got his own music playing in his office. He's trying to grind through his tape. He's going to mute it. Don't spend the time to put the music on there.
If you want to use music and you're creating a cool clip for social media, that's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
But like Coach said, if Coach is sitting in his office and he's listening to music or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's got to listen to your highlight video with whatever song you got there, like in the background.
I'm trying to save you time because he's going to mute it. That's my point. Like, I don't want you to waste the time of even trying to add it into the video. They're going to mute it.
So anyways, social media, go for it. But
yeah. If you're just posting it for that reason, like a cool highlight tape or a hype video or something, have at it. But what you're sending to coaches, I would not.
Yeah.
We also have them take the captions off, guys. What I mean by captions is, if you're wide out and you have a explosive play, which is great to put on there, 35, 40-yard catch or whatever the case may be, and then you put on a caption at the bottom of it, 35 or 40-yard catch, the coach can clearly see what's going on, guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you don't need to insult their intelligence, 1, and 2, it takes time to put it on there, and 3, you don't want anything distracting him from watching your tape. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in there with coaches and a caption be on there and the play happened And they literally, this has happened hundreds of times. And that's not an exaggeration because I did it a long time. They would literally pause the tape and like turn around to me or look at me and say, now, why would they put that on there? I clearly just saw them do that. Like, what would make them want to put that on there? The coach would literally say that. So now he's paused your tape and stopped evaluating you just so he could ask me why you put the caption on there when he could clearly see what was going on. Now that's distracting, guys. Now that's in his brain for the next 2 or 3 plays, and he's not looking at what you're doing and can you help him win. So you want to eliminate as many distractions as you possibly can, right? So no captions and no music.
What would you say? I don't know, coach. Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know what he wants me to tell you because I can't read your mind. I'm like, I don't know, coach. I would try if I like the kid, I would try to keep him moving to get his focus back on the next play because I know how they work. And that's why when I got in this role, people don't understand it. And I tell them, and I've experienced it in real time. Like now that's in his brain for like the next 2 plays. You know what I mean? You don't want him focused on that. You want him focused on evaluating you as a player.
Yeah, that's funny, man. All right. So no, it's true though. And also, like, remember that one video we saw, and it was like pancake, and I was like,
yeah, it was like watching a Batman episode,
All right, so let's talk about editing, right? Not everyone has Huddle. If you guys don't have Huddle, no excuses. Go on Amazon, buy a tripod, set up your iPhone, and you can get video footage of the game. Like that's it. So that's one thing. Now editing, right? Let's say you can edit it easily on Huddle. You're not on Huddle. Guys, you can use tools like iMovie, which is free on your Mac, or you can use Windows Movie Maker, which is free on you don't need crazy editing software, guys. You just need to be able to put together, because you're not doing music and Well, you do need to put the circle or the arrow. So, but still, that's really easy to do in all these free software. So just let you guys know, iMovie, Windows Movie Maker, you don't need, some crazy software to do this.
Yeah, we get a lot of Quick Cut and CapCut. There's some other, softwares out there that are pretty popular with football, with football tape that you can still identify yourself. So there are things out there other than Huddle.
Yeah, just don't overthink it. That's the point I want to make here is like, don't overthink it. You know what I mean? And we hit on the multi-sport athletes, which I think is really important. Obviously the plays, is there any other last things that, are important to, I think, obviously you got to have your info slide, but have your info slide at the end too, guys. So they don't have to rewind back to the beginning. Just have it again at the end. So when they're done watching it, they see it again and they can call you. Right. So at the very, very end, just have the info slide there as well. Again, I just want to reiterate, Brian, I'll let you talk, but I just want to hit one more time on the importance of having the plays in the right order. And I use Crete. Obviously, Crete, Brian, but his story is really good because he had his highlight video and he was sending it out and he wasn't getting any responses. We reordered his highlight video to put the plays in the right order. And then all of a sudden he got his first Division I offer in 2 weeks. And there's a story on our website. Go to gonextplay.com, go to the case studies and watch his parents tell this story of how just having your highlight video in the right order makes such a big difference on the results that you're going to get, because coaches are either going to watch it or they're not.
No, without a doubt. And I'll just finish with, I would just go through a lot of the things we talked about here. We talked about a lot of things. They're all important, guys. But at the end of the year right now, it's important to get it together quickly and start getting it out. You know what I mean? You want to get it out as fast as you can, and obviously to as many coaches as you can. Like don't put it off till after Christmas or January, February, and start putting your tape together, because you got to think about it. It's like it's the line at the grocery store. You know what I mean? You're getting in line for a coach to watch your tape, and the closer you get to the front of the line where he sees you first, you increase your opportunities. You know what I mean? Of getting on that board first or getting reached out to first and things like that. You know what I mean? So I would be efficient in getting it put together and getting it out this time of year.
Yeah, it's a good point. Love it. If you're interested in having Brian and our team who have collectively, now we're way above, we used to be 25 years. What are we at now? Like 30 years, 35 years? As we're adding and building, let's just say it's 30 plus years of college football recruiting experience, and you want us to evaluate your son's film. We'll let you know 3 things: what divisions you should be targeting so you're not wasting all your time doing outreach. 2, we'll make sure the plays are in the right order. And 3, we'll let you know what you need to show on game film to get to the next level. 3 really important things. So if you'd like our team to do your evaluation, then you can reach out to us at gonextplay.com/evaluation. Or if you're on our social media, you could just DM me on Instagram, the word evaluation. Other than that, really appreciate all of you being here. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you're not interested in subscribing, that's okay. But we release a lot of really good content. If you are interested, consider subscribing. If not, we'll see you guys on the next one.